Good evening, everyone. My name is Tanya Ma, and I am an intactivist, and I am very pleased to give a film review of Brendan Marotta's American Circumcision. Now, I come from a creative background, and my very first impression of the film in the beginning was the cinematography, the music. It just grasped the audience attention. It is so dramatic and eerie, and leaves you feeling verklempt and wanting more, wanting to know what's going to happen to this baby. And it just cuts off right there, and it continues on, and we are introduced to big names in both the intactivist community and the pro-circumcision community. We are introduced to Marilyn Meireles, the founder of No Circ, grandmother of intactivism. We also meet Georgianne Chapin. She's the founder of Intact America, and she's a lawyer. And we also are met with an opponent of intactivism. His name is Andrew Friedman. He circumcised his son himself on a kitchen table, and he admits that he did it for religious reasons, not for medical reasons. He doesn't even support that everyone should do it for medical reasons. Now, I wrote down some dates that I found were very interesting. Let's see, in 1971, the AAP admitted that there are absolutely no valid reasons for circumcision. And then in 1988, they backtracked and they decided to add benefits, because this was a time period of resistance, the 70s, before that the 60s, the free love movement, and parents were starting to question circumcision back then. So the AAP had to continue to lie and make up claims which have been debunked, and every decade they came out with new excuses why circumcision must be done. However, did you guys know that for over 100 years, circumcision has been used to stifle sexuality, to reduce men's pleasure, and in the 19th century in England, masturbation was considered to be a sin and to have fatal consequences, and circumcision was used as that measure for hundreds of years, and in the decades leading up until the medical community decided to say that it reduces STDs, HIV, penile cancer, all these things that were questioned by other medical organizations around the world. Let me introduce you to another proponent, Brian Morris. Oh, Brian Morris is such a huge proponent of circumcision, and to be honest, I just think he seems very creepy, and he wants to be mandatory for everyone. He really demonizes foreskin. He is a molecular biologist from Australia, I believe, and he's Baptist as well, claims that he doesn't have any a religious agenda. However, he has been just pumping out garbage articles and fueling the circumcision industry. We get to meet Leonard Glick, a cultural anthropologist, a historian who reveals to us that circumcision evolved from child sacrifice, that it's some sort of substitute. Before Judaism, Islam, circumcision as a human sex organ sacrifice existed. Also, he does mention some Christian support for keeping boys intact. He mentions that there are over 120 references in the Bible to circumcision and how it's not necessary that Jesus Christ was the last blood sacrifice. And Marilyn Milos attests to that too, and she shares that information. She shared that information over the decades with her patients. Now, the current medical claims for circumcision these days include HIV, and PEPFAR spent $40 million to give African men circumcisions. Now, the claims right now include a 60% relative change that protects men from contracting HIV. However, the studies are extremely flawed. African organizations have come out and spoke against it, and here are some interesting facts. The absolute change in the study is actually 1.8%, 1.58% of circumcised males, compared to 3.38% of intact males. And something else they did not tell us is that the circumcised men were paid. They were paid $12,000 each, and they were encouraged to use condoms. The intact men were not. The circumcised men had free health care. The studies are absolutely illogical because the randomized testing was simply unfair. Something else I found was really interesting. They introduced us to an intactivist. I can't pronounce his name, but I'm sure you guys will meet him if you're an intactivist. And you know what? I actually did meet him. I recognize his face at the 15th annual General Autonomy Symposium. But he's spectacular, adorable. He just really celebrates the functions of the foreskin, and he teaches men how that they can have several different orgasms just in their foreskin alone, within their frenulum, which he refers to as the male clit. That there's the frenular delta, the ridge band, the Meissner's corpuscles, which are cells that are responsible for making us sensitive to light and touch. So he gives a chance to speak and educate other men. He's the one wearing the shirt that says, "I love my foreskin." And he also really emphasizes that when you remove the foreskin, all of its 16 grandiose functions, 12 square inches of erogenous tissue, that it seriously alters the mechanics of sex for both men and women. We are introduced to Soraya Murray, an FGM survivor, an author, a filmmaker. I bought her book at the symposium. I got to meet her. Pretty cool. And she helped put in the law that in 1996 banned female genital mutilation because the AAP advocated clitoral nicking. Can you guys believe that? They advocated female circumcision because they figured, okay, we're going to have African women coming over and realizing we don't perform female circumcisions, so they're going to go back to their country and they're going to get the more extreme cases of female circumcision or FGM. So they tried to compromise and they allowed clitoral nicking, or just like an incision or cut. Absolutely horrifying and disgusting. So the AAP once supported female genital mutilation, and Americans mostly do not know that, and if they did, I'm sure they'd be outraged. However, right now we're really trying to fuel and awaken people to be just as outraged as we are with female genital mutilation, male circumcision. They are absolutely identical. Something else that was mentioned I found very interesting is that they found that circumcised boys experience PTSD. They experience neurological effects of pain when they got vaccinations. Just this intense horror and screaming pain right when they got vaccinated and as they went into shock. And of course, that's just a heartbreaking side effect. Ron Goldman, a Jewish psychological researcher, he spoke about that. He spoke about distrust, grief, sexism, men feeling alone, flashbacks. He studied this for decades as well, and I just got a couple of his books in the mail today. Yay! We also get to meet a few other people. One is William Stowell. I thought he looked like Michael Cera. He was the first who sued his doctor, and he's pretty young. He is involved with NORM, the National Organization of Restoring Men. We also get to meet TLC tugger Ron Lowe, who invented a foreskin restoration device. He quotes that 250,000 men worldwide are restoring their foreskin, and that was recorded in 2010. He said that it only takes 10 to 12 hours a day of tension, that it is something that men need to dedicate themselves to a few years over time, but there's no special tricks. It absolutely works in helping the body create a slack skin that can mimic foreskin and reduce the callousness on the glands and bring back sensitivity and moisture. We also are told that 80 to 100,000 Meissner corpuscle cells are lost, and although you cannot get them back in restoring, you can certainly mimic a lot of the damage that is done. I was happy to see that the elephant in the hospital filmmaker was able to show up and give his perspective and just give some information on how psychologically damaging this is, and that it's the cultural blinders we need to remove. Also an excellent half-hour presentation. We met a lawyer named David Llewellyn, who says that botched circumcisions are extremely common, and that he deals with them all the time, and that if men are born after 1997, if their parents did not consent, their mother did not consent to the circumcision, perhaps she signed under the influence of the drugs that they give women in the hospital, that there's a winning case right there. So also I noted that the Gomco clamp uses thousands of pressure when it cuts down and removes the foreskin. How horrific is that, guys? The video showing a live circumcision is absolutely horrendous, and I've seen this film multiple times. It's my third time seeing it, and I did not have to rewatch. I did not have to rewatch that part. I just turned down the volume because the screams of a baby having his genitals ripped apart sliced. You can feel every moment of it. And this can last up to 20 minutes. Is the most unspeakable form of evil in this country that is swept under a rug, that is labeled as a religious choice or a medical choice. It's absolutely horrific, and it's the controversial part in the film that I do believe was a necessary evil. However, there it is, absolutely horrific right in your face. Brendan shows in interviews with other intactivists, regret moms. He shows clips of Jonathan Conti. He committed suicide. He had severe anguish from his circumcision, and he was such an incredible intactivist to the movement. He is one of the few people in the video that I have not seen or read material about, or but nevertheless, I still connected with him in some way, and I still mourned his passing, and I stand in solidarity with the intactivists who did know him. So that was very important that his name was brought up. And I just have to say that this film was incredibly moving. And when I first saw it, I saw it in Detroit at Wayne State University, and I sat in the middle on two sides. My left side and my right side were two intactivists who had both been circumcised, and when the live circumcision is playing, the three of us just bawled. I don't think anyone in the room didn't cry during that film. It's extremely tear-jerking, to say the least. I absolutely believe that this film, this documentary, will make a tremendous difference in American culture, and I hope that we can get it out there. This is a film that everyone needs to see, because it is the human rights issue of the 21st century, as Georgianne Shapin mentions. And let us carry on Marilyn Milo's dream of ending genital mutilation for boys too. Thank you so much for listening to this review. Go check it out. It's available at Target, I believe Amazon, a few other places. Just check it out on Facebook. Keep up. Stay curious. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.